Hello. Hello there. Hello. Welcome to the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. It's been a little while, so I think it's been probably a month and a half since I did this live show. So welcome to my Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. This is where I usually talk really nerdy stuff about knife sharpening. My name is Naoto. I'm the the head sharpener at Knifewear here, and we have we have Sky actually on the other side of the camera, who will be looking at all the comments that you may have. So if you have any questions during the show, just shoot that in the comment section. So I'll try to answer as much as possible. Today's topic is the Shibata-san's way of sharpening. So we'll get into that real quick. Is there any news, actually, Sky, that we actually need to tell everyone who's tuning in before we actually get into it?
So hello everyone. I'm just filling in while Nathan is away. He got called away to go attend Terroir, which is kind of exciting. We've got a couple of the stories on our Instagram page already, and I'm excited to hear how that goes when he gets back. But for now, we've still got Small Makers Month going on. We've got a couple of exciting things coming up that we have kind of in the pipeline, but nothing that really needs to be addressed right now. So we're just nerding out today. That's the thing.
Awesome. We're getting ready. We're pumped to get a lot of items in for the fall GS, we call it garage sale, starting on November 7th. So stay tuned. We'll probably have some of the really cool knives kind of popping up there. We just did thanks for everyone who was looking out for the Takeda knives. It was thanks to you guys, it was pretty good. We haven't seen the Takeda knives for such a long time, so it was great for people who had the chance to purchase one.
We actually got one of our friends with us on the stream here got his Takeda Funayuki.
Yeah, it hadn't been so long. So it seems like Takeda-san is kind of back. He had a little bit of time. He kind of had a time off for his I guess he had to be a little bit out of his production for a little while for various reasons. So he seems like he's back in action a little bit more. So hopefully we'll see more of his knives in the near future as well. I think that's kind of where we are. I just got a confirmation that we're getting this super cool steel grill from Japan. It's pretty soon.
We got it.
We are going to.
Oh,
so it's exciting. Kind of it's pretty cool. They have two compartments, right? The outside and the inside compartments. It's the charcoal grill, and really the thing is that how it's built. When you're actually cooking a charcoal in it, you can definitely touch the outside without burning your hands. It's really nicely ventilated, and it's pretty cool stuff that we're trying to bring it in. But nonetheless, today's topic is Shibata-san's way sharpening. For those of you who don't know who Shibata-san is, Shibata-san is our friend in the Fukuyama, Hiroshima. He is the president of the so-called ironclad or the Masakage knives. Those of you who are familiar with these knives, he is behind the idea of all the Masakage knives, as well as ironclad, or in Japanese, kotetsu knives. Also, he's pretty creative, so that he actually came up with a lot of different products, like a iron pan. He calls it iron pan. It's actually steel, carbon steel frying pan. It's not really iron, but the really nice carbon steel frying pan, or more grilling pan, that has much more surface area on the bottom, so you can sear two steaks pretty easy, where a lot of carbon steel frying pans don't really have that ability. They're a little bit small kind of stuff. So he came up with that kind of stuff. He works with the local artists and local craftspeople in the Fukuyama area to create something like a cutting board, create something like a magnetic wood magnetic racks. We don't have that one here, but or the denim aprons and denim the knife rolls and stuff. So he's been pretty creative about those, and he's really creative when it comes to the sharpening as well. He started as the knife sharpener, and he learned lots of stuff from his master. He never told me who he is, but he actually went to learn to sharpen from this guy in Hiroshima. And when Shibata-san started doing his own stuff, he wanted to come up with something that very sets him apart. That's how he kind of came up with this differential grit sharpening on all the masekage knives, as well as the kotetsu. His role in masekage knives is that all the masekage knives, they were forged, heat treated, and grinded, and then the blank blades that's already been sharpened by means create the bevels and stuff, not the last micro bevel. Then that blade's been sent to where Shibata-san lives in Fukuyama, and he puts the last bit of so-called koba, or the last micro bevel to it. That's when he sharpens in different grits from both ends, or from either side. His role in the kotetsu is a little bit different, because how he does is that he actually gets a blade that's been forged and heat treated, but had never been touched on the sharpening stones. So basically, he gets here. Needs to be straightened, but he gets the blade like this in order for him to make a kotetsu blade. Then he takes it and he sharpens it on the grinding wheel, make the really nice profile and nice thinness. Then he sharpens the edge with the differential grit sharpening.
So before we get all the way into it,
Yes.
We've actually got a clip from our documentary Spring Hammer that
Yeah.
kind of introduces you a little bit to Shibata-san. So we can take a look at that now.
ここはですね、広島県の福山市っていうところで、皆さん広島って言ったら原爆イメージされると思うんですけど、100キロぐらい離れてこちらは何もなかったんですけど、でも原爆の2日後に福山大空襲っていうのがあって、それで町はもう焼け野原になったっていう場所なんですけど、はい、ここはですね、僕の、工場で。ここで刃物の研ぎ直しもしますし、製造もしていきます。そうですね、研ぐっていうことはすごいその包丁の性能左右かなりすると思います。鍛造も確かに左右されるんですけど、やっぱ研ぐっていうことでよく切れるか切れないかっていうのがかなり変わってくると思います。そうですね、この今後ろに見える砥石で、粗く削ってはいくんですけど、それであらかたの形を作って、そこからですね、まず第一にはその鋼を出す幅が両方揃わないといけないんで、それを揃えるために見ているのと、あとは包丁がですね、やっぱ片方を研いでいくと片方に曲がってくるんですよ。でそれがちょっと曲がってきて、今度逆側を研いであげて、まっすぐになるようにちょっとずつ研いでいくんですよ。かなり重要だと思います。ただ薄くしてしまえばいいっていうわけでもないんですけど、若干のこう厚みを持たせながら薄くしていく。 それによって強さもありながら切れ味も良くなっていくんですけど、ここの部分を手を抜くとやっぱりなかなかよく切れる包丁っていうのは作れないと思います。あ、そうです。もうここでほぼ形のもうほぼ 90% 以上作ってしまうんで、ここでしっかりやっとかないと後で直すことはもうできないです。
We're back.
Hi, we're back. Sarah's playing with the something in the back. Well, that's who he is. He didn't really mention too much about differential sharpening on the clip there. It is not the secret that he does. The secret is which grit he uses. He told me once.
But you're not allowed to tell us.
I forgot. Let's say I forgot.
You conveniently forgot.
Yeah, conveniently forgot.
So today we're really talking about like the very last step of sharpening, correct? It's not about the primary bevel. It's not about hot rodding.
Exactly.
We're talking just about the
thinning.
koba.
It's just at the last edge. So in order for us and for me or for everyone to compare, I guess fairly, I brought the two of the kind of same knives. Like it's kind of same, right? The Fujimoto blue number 2 carbon steel stainless clad. Also, it's just a different shape. So what I'm going to do is to sharpen these two knives in a different way. One probably with the we call it the differential grit sharpening. So what that means is that I'm going to sharpen one side or both sides with the say medium grit, like 1000 to 2000. Then I take that knife to the higher grit only on one side, where usually when you're sharpening the last edge, so-called the koba or the micro bevel, I usually sharpen them the same grit from both ends. Right? So let's do that. The idea behind that is so when you sharpen the one side on the coarse or the medium grit and finish the other side much finer grit, will give you the really good combination of the tootiness as well as the very smoothness, so that it doesn't scratch up the blade. Scratch up the food. Really, the big thing that he is looking to do with the knives. I don't know if you've ever seen him checking the edge on the knife. Is that he loves to cut the carrots. Carrot is his ultimate testing, I guess, food. Right, so when you cut the carrots with a very thin knife, the texture or the surface becomes really nice and glassy, like super smooth, right? Then he takes this knife and holds the knife where it balances, so there is no, forward or the backward, I guess, the weight. So he holds it like this, then just push it forward. See if that actually cuts in like that. And in order for the knife to do that kind of work, it certainly needs some bitiness. Okay, so let's just perform. It's not really simple. If you do perform sharpening at home, it's not really that hard. So let's do that. I'm going to sharpen the first. Make sure the stones are flat.
I think this is the most underrated step of knife sharpening.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bad time if you don't go flat.
Okay, so pretty simple, straightforward. If you know how to sharpen knives, this is the step. If you don't know, you can totally actually watch me do stuff, because these knives are sharpened around 15 degrees around the edge. The angle could be modified for your likings. You don't want to make it really high because it does deter, it does kind of stops the knife from cutting into the food nice and smooth. My golden, or basically like the really versatile edge, is about 15 degrees. So I'm going to sharpen them pretty. I do it like it's pretty thin enough, so I shouldn't have to work that much to get the so-called burr. Burr. Burr on it. Okay. So burr is this type of, some people call it the wired edge. As you grind the steel from one side, the ground steel will start to fold over onto the other side of the knife. Okay. The other side, you can totally do a few ways that you can sharpen. I like to hold, especially when I'm putting the edge on, I like to hold the knife on my right hand so that it kind of, it's easier for me to keep the angle. Also, little thing that I learned from the Masashi-san is that he likes to sharpen the edge, especially the koba. He likes to sharpen the edge like this.
Oh, like from different angles.
Yeah, if you know what that means.
Oh, that's crazy.
But so what that is that, say right now I'm sharpening the edge like this way. What it creates is microscopically 1000 grit will facing on this side, right? So this edge is fantastic to do a slide cut, like the backward motion, right?
It's like little micro serrations.
Yeah,
then.
it goes like this way.
Yep.
So if I want to make a knife to do the sliding action really good, what I would do is flip my knife and I sharpen it this way, so that the serration matches.
Yeah.
But instead, what Masashi-san does is this. So in order for this knife to perform that way, it needs to go this way. Right? Does it make sense? Kind of? It's
That's
kind
a
of
really
weird
cool
idea.
trick. I never thought about that.
It's kind of weird idea, right?
That guy's just full of good info.
I know. We had such privilege, like having him come to Canada again and have such blast.
Yeah, we have a little video coming out about one of the younger blacksmiths we're working with coming up, and him getting to meet Masashi, and that's going to be kind of around like October 1st week. But there's just so much about Masashi instructing this guy and like going into such depth about the things that he does with him, and I'm really excited for that one to come out.
Yeah.
So you're deburring on the stone in the same direction as the kind of mini serrations you just made, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, he told me to deburr it this way instead of this way.
So edge leading?
Edge leading, yeah.
Did he tell you why?
It's easier for the burr to break off.
Bending it a little bit further?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially it's important if you are going to finish your knife with something like a 1000 grit. Because the burr may be a little persistent, so it's easier to break it off.
Got it.
This way.
Cool.
So that's 1000. I'm going to do the same thing on this guy here.
Now we're on the Utah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So that's 1000 grit. It's, it'll be nice and sharp. It just cuts the paper really good. You know, I've been kind of trying to test it on this as well as this. Because when you're cutting it, you cut both ways. And I primarily actually do a push cut, right? So try to see how it feels. Because that's really all, like, it really up to you, right? Like, I am the kind of person who is trained to do cut this way. So the knife should cut this, and the knife should work really good on this end instead of doing this end. So
Was that a pull cut?
pull cut.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, the handle, this needs to be removed, so it actually changed, like kind of here or something.
Knife ASMR.
Yeah.
Live knife ASMR.
Anyway, so that's the 1000 edge. It's pretty good, right? It cuts. I'll probably go through the leather stropping after this, but alrighty. So here, 4000. I haven't actually chewed this stone for a little while, so it may take a bit. Little, I guess, tip on how to chew the stone. A lot of people do draw a grit on a stone. If the stone, the tring stone's really flat, you can see where it touches, where see it doesn't touch it. So you don't really need to draw, and oftentimes those lines can actually be worn out even before the stone gets all flattened, because the sharpening stone's full of grit, right? And when you do go back and forth quite a bit, it can, like the lines drawn by those Sharpies can be actually erased pretty easy. So I think this it helps definitely, but you don't need to every time, because you can see here. See, there's a little spot still.
Yeah, pretty clear dish.
Yeah. One thing that you don't want to do, like a little trick and technique on chewing, you do not want to tilt your stone more than, I guess, these corners leaves the stone. Like, if that makes sense. You want to do it this way, and you can spin your chewing stone, or you can tilt your chewing stone a little bit, but you don't want to tilt your stone so that these two corners leaves the stone. It just exacerbates the dish So you want to just
Mm.
make sure those corners are still in line with
So you don't want to turn the truing stone sideways to kind of use it like a handle.
you could use it like this. Well, you don't ever use it like that.
Cool.
Um,
I've seen a couple of people do that, and I'm like, ah,
it's not.
maybe not.
It's not the best. Okay, that's good. Cool. The other side. Here. Okay, so nice and true. You can definitely wipe this off, or you don't have to, but it's nice and true now. So what I would do is going to sharpen same angle as you're sharpening on the 1000 stone. Oh, I forgot my. No, I forgot my elastic for my hair.
Oh,
It's too long.
do you want my scrunchie?
No, I'm good now. It's too late. Here. A lot of people ask, like, how long would you want to actually sharpen on a 4000 stone? You can see your eyes. You can use your eyes, and it actually changes the shininess quite a bit. It gets like almost like this 4000 stone. It almost gets almost like mirror polish. Once you get the really nice consistent mirror-ish, that's when you stop. Or I do feel the burr like this way. It is a smaller burr than you would feel with the 1000 stone, but you would definitely be able to feel a little bit like this way. Like what I'm doing here is that I put my thumb on top and slide this way. And if I do it this way, because I worked on this side and the burr is slightly bendy, this stone is bending the edge tiny bit like this way, it hooks. It feels that it's grabbing a lot more on the other side. So that's just another indication. But the using your eyes and seeing how it's being polished is really the good way to see if you have polished the side evenly, because the burr can happen if you sharpen one side slightly uneven. Does that make sense? Like sometimes, like you scratch one side with 1000 grit, and move on to the 4000. You can
kind of feel like little whispers of the burr from the 1000.
Yeah, like not only the burr. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when you're using sandpapers and try to go up on the grit.
Yeah.
And you could see that the lines that you made with the lower grit stone, that you kind of make, like sometimes you like stops and that's probably fine enough. And as you go up on the grit, you start to see the
scratch
scratch
behind.
more.
Yeah.
So yeah, like use your eyes, like use the lights and see how it shines. Okay, so that's the one side. This is the second side. Yeah. Okay.
Blank Blank is asking what happened to the corner of your stone.
No, drop probably. I inherited lots of stones from lost stores too, so like a lot of them are not from like my fault.
Like when we mess them up, you're the one that gets the leftovers.
Yeah, sometimes like, what do we do? Okay.
Well, you can't act too high and mighty. I watched you smash a truing stone the other day.
I had. Yes. So I can't really just say.
I mean, I modded it.
I have one that's like broken half. 4,000 as well. So that's kind of how. Alrighty. So that. Okay. That's pretty good 4,000 finish. It's pretty nice and smooth. I guess in order to do the different test, I could go up to 8,000 and see if that actually changes that drastically.
Yeah. Want to do it?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's just gonna put this. So this knife finished on the 1,000 from both ends. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sharpen one side with 4,000 and deburr it gently. Is there any questions?
Yeah, we had a couple of chatter that Restream decided not to put on my streaming software.
Oh.
So let's see. We had Richard asking if he talked about setting the bevel on one side differently, which I explained that no. This is just about the very edge of the knife here.
Mm-hmm.
Blank Blank was commenting on never trying to cut paper pushing forward, which honestly me neither. Like I got kind of used to just pulling one way, and like usually it kind of turns out a little bit smoother too. But that's really interesting. That was a fun tip for sure. Let's see. Blank Blank also likes to do it sideways for extremely dish stones when he needs to grind down a part that's much higher than the middle. I think when we were talking about truing. Also a question on any word on Shibata's current method. Blank Blank heard from you that you thought he maybe changed it.
He's always testing different methods, different combinations out. When he first started it, he had this 8,000 grit stone that's on this wheel, spins. We actually had an 8,000 grit that's the same make from Shibata-san at a Calgary store. I don't know what happened to that stone. Yeah, we had a special 8,000 stone from Shibata-san.
A wheel stone or
no? Just the black stone.
Oh.
But he was actually sharpening like a, I think almost like 1,000 and the 8,000. I know he changed it because last I heard was like different.
Gotcha.
So, but I can't really tell you how.
Do you think it's better now or about the same?
I mean, he like always tried to improve that the way he sharpens.
Yeah.
And how it cuts. So hopefully it's better, right? And I think it's better because I was looking at his Instagram the other day. Oops. It doesn't work on water. I was looking at his Instagram. The one of the stories that he did was the kotetsu knives, like exceptionally thin, light knife like that. And what he was doing is that he was using the method that I was actually showing you, the holding at the balance point of the kotetsu, and just gently push that into the carrots. And it was like, it cuts like, and it wanted to kind of bite into it type of edge. that was incredible to actually see, and it shows what he's actually trying to do, and he achieves it, right? So pretty nice. Alrighty, so this is 8,000. I tried to take all the grits off from the previous stone with the little cleaner towel here. This Sundoku, I'm just going to sharpen them like regular, you know. In my opinion, though, finishing your like multifunctional, multi-purpose knife with 8,000 and with chromium oxide, with everything is a little bit overkill. Well, we actually discovered, we actually had a little bit of a training session of sharpening a couple weeks ago. And what we discovered is that the, on the paper, 8,000 edge, or the one of those edges that's finished with chromium oxide is so smooth, right? Like it's almost like doesn't make any sound whatsoever. It's like so smooth and so quiet. When you actually try to cut the things like tomatoes, it was like I did this test. A tiny, like how much I need to actually move until it starts cutting. It slides. It wasn't really cutting into it. Where once that actually made a little bit of noise, like finished at the 4,000 grit with the light just dropping on the leather, it actually gave a lot more nicer bite to it. And what we did is that we didn't stop there. We actually did retention test. So Chris Armitage, he was actually visiting here in Calgary at the time. So he is a chef. He used to work in the kitchen. So he actually grabbed the carrots. Yeah, he grabbed carrots, equal amount, and chopped into the julienne whole bunch of carrots. Then did the edge test after. Surprising, not surprising. One that actually left a little bit of a coarser or the toothier edge outperformed much more than the one that's super, super smooth. So I found it's fascinating. You will need those very fine edges in certain situations. For example, when you get a really nice piece of salmon or a nice bluefin tuna and try make it into the nice sashimis. Those fish, especially when it's all skinned and make it into saku or this block piece, you do not need really toothiness. All you need is really, really fine edge so that it doesn't tear. Especially salmon is like this. Salmon could be the little different, right? Because salmon, it's in Japanese, we actually call salmon sake. Sake comes from the word sakeru, or the tear. Salmon got the name because it's easy to be torn. So it's really easy to be torn, right? So you have to have really fine edge so that it doesn't grab. If you have the toothy edge, it snags it a little bit, right? So that it causes the tear a little.
I would imagine that affects the taste too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you will need some specific edge for specific things. And that's what we're trying to, I guess, get. This type of sharpening is really great for like multifunctionality, right? Because this gives you really nice smooth edge as well as nice bitiness. So I'm just going to sharpen one side.
I did one of my nikiris like this,
Mhm.
and it's just a touch better than like most of everything else in my collection. But it's super, super good for especially stuff like tomato skins and like bell peppers.
Mhm.
It kind of bites and slices.
Right?
Still great for chicken breast and stuff like that too, though.
Oh yeah.
I know you're not supposed to use a nikiri for chicken breast.
What?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Well, it's a veggie knife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you don't care, then I don't.
No, why not?
It's like I don't really like swapping knives mid-meal.
Nakiri is this like knife that's being used in the Japanese household for a very, very long time. Santoku was never a thing. The nakiri was the knife that everyone had. Like if you ask my grandmother, she didn't grow up using the santoku because santoku is after the Second World War thing.
Seriously?
Yeah.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Huh.
After the war.
Because I know the gyuto is based on the European style chef.
Gyuto is actually longer.
It's
it has
older?
a longer history. Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
How long?
About same as Canada, so 150, 160 years.
Okay. I like that reference.
Because the reason why I'm referring to the history of Canada is that the Japan opened up its doors to the foreign powers in 1867, which is the same year as the Canada Constitution Act in Canada. So yes,
That's a fun tidbit.
yeah. And I know the U.S. has a little bit longer history. I just went to Philadelphia over there, and they have the like all the fun stuff. Yeah. Okay. So here is a really big difference. I don't know if you can hear. There's a microphone.
Don't cut your hair.
That's okay. I'm gonna get a haircut anyways. So the same spot. Hopefully makes difference.
Just a bit different.
Just a bit different. Okay, let's test this one out on the food.
Okay.
Because the cutting paper is fun. We have been pretty guilty, right? Because we tested on the paper, meaning it's like, oh, it's so super sharp. But it turns out those knives are kitchen knives. Those knives are to cut the food with, right? So we actually prepared a cutting board that she really wants to put that on right here.
That's okay.
Right.
I wonder if I have it. Can I hand that to you?
Here you go. Here.
Okay.
Okay. And let's get some like tomatoes.
I've got tomatoes. I've got a bell pepper, celery.
Tomatoes and bell peppers are great.
Sweet.
Alrighty, so let's try this. And a nice tomatoes here. When you are going to perform this trick on this trick, have you ever seen anyone seen that?
The
right?
classic slice.
Classic slice,
Yeah.
do this. You will want to have the smoother edge, because if you have the toothier edge, what happens is that it snags. But in reality, though, in a real life, you will be cutting this way, right?
You mean you don't fruit ninja all your veggies?
No, no. So what I'm going to test now, and this is how I actually test it. This one here is differential sharpening. This one's both same kind of sharpening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find the pretty, like at the end here of the tomato, right? And hold the knife like this so that it balances more or less, right? It doesn't, yeah. And just going to do push.
It bites right in.
This one here, see here? When it's at the, so you need to find that the right, okay, So that was. Did you see that when I'm trying to do actually here, this part? If I push a little bit, it does cut it. But see here?
I'm gonna lower
See
this just
here?
a little bit.
It's not biting into it.
It's just sliding. So it's sliding off instead of.
Where this one here, finding the balance here. Just tiny bit of push forward motion will actually bite into the knife, the tomato skin. I don't know if you see them, but I don't know if that camera captures it.
Yeah, I think it can.
Like this here, right? Yeah. This the balance
Let
point.
me just.
Let me see. That's the balance point.
Here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take it off of here so we can get a little bit of a closer view. This is a petition for Kevin, if he's watching, to please get me a macro lens.
Okay, so bear with us. It's going to be a little bit wobbly, I think.
No, we're not doing this by hand.
Oh, okay.
I just got tangled in all my wires.
So this is teeny bit difference here, okay? So find a balance point. Just a little bit farther up here. Balanced. Okay, pinch. So it doesn't like go one side or another. Like it doesn't. Yeah, right here. And you see, like it just starts to. Oh, that's that. That cuts in. Cuts in. Cuts in.
Mm-hmm.
This guy here. Same thing. It's a little bit lighter, so it can't. So here. You see when I'm doing the same thing?
It's more of a skid, like it kind of slips off a bit.
Tiny bit, right? If I do it right here, cuts like this. Tiny bit of difference.
Got it.
Tiny bit of difference. But when it comes though, like I think it just, when it comes to do this way, this feels so much smoother.
So why is that then?
Well, because this edge is like really nice and thin, right? So that the edge is so much more, it doesn't have much teeth. That means it cuts with the, it doesn't snag it, right? Where this, I feel a little much more like, see, well, it is a little bit longer blades, but
Right.
it does have a bit of more teeth to it. Like you may be able to hear. And I didn't. But both cuts fantastic, right? But one is a little bit more toothier than others. What it does is that the when it comes to say, I think pepper will do. When it comes to pepper, for those of you who probably people who watch this, my nerd hour probably knows all the tricks like this. I had a friend came over from the old host family from the United States, and I showed them this trick, and they were like, "Oh!" That little pepper trick. Right.
The pepper trick.
Yeah, I impressed him really good. So like this way, it grabs a little bit more than this. So on the same stroke, this cuts in a little bit more farther, deeper,
So you're not actually pushing, you're just
Yeah.
gliding across. Got it.
because of the teeth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's do this much, okay?
Okay.
And just push it forward. It goes in like this,
Yeah. I
okay?
see it.
Same. Also the weight too, but and trying to like hold it where it balances so that it doesn't really, so it doesn't actually bite into it. Teeth like this knife really wants to cut into it. But still leaves the really nice fine finish to it. So that's really the difference that makes.
I'm going to swap this to your face cam while I set this back up again.
Another thing of this differential grit sharpening, another, I guess really the big, whatchamacallit, the advantage is that the balance between really nice and smooth and bitiness, right? Smoother edge is great to use it for, raw chicken, meat, that kind of stuff, to get that extra smoothness. It doesn't tear up the meat as much. It doesn't tear up, but also has enough bite to it too. This type of sharpening is not, well, it is kind of Shibata-san's technique, but it's not exclusive to him. Let's put it this way. Lots of knife sharpeners who sharpens deba knives, they actually often do differential edge sharpening. Often they do sharpen the back with a little bit higher grits, like a full 1000, and the front side, the beveled side at the koba at the very edge, they will sharpen it at like 1000 or 2000 grit. Because when you're cutting into the fish skin, you will definitely need something that's really, really coarse. The coarser the grit is, it bites into the fish's skin, but the backside, the smoother, will keep, I guess it makes that the fish not really tearing as much. So that's actually not like so foreign, I guess, to the knife sharpening world, but to apply to that the regular, whatchamacallit, the double beveled kitchen knives, it was a little bit different, right? So that's how the Shibata-san was special, different, revolutionary, right? So that kind of stuff, right? Is there any questions? Like since I did a little bit of a cutting test, hopefully.
All right, opening up for questions about differential sharpening and anything else you'd like to ask Naoto while we've got you.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's really the difference that you will be expecting, and it will keep its like the little bit more toothy edge will last a little bit longer.
Yeah, Blank mentioned that he's seen tests that show some steels get better edge retention doing dual grits.
Mm-hmm. And this test is really good because I just used the pretty much the same knife, and only difference is the weight.
Yeah.
Although I was actually holding it so that the weight doesn't do much, because the 210 is heavier. So that I should have done it the other way around.
I think it came across pretty clearly though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay,
It
so
needs this, sliding distance to be able to start cutting.
So we got a question.
Mhm.
From what I saw of the tests that you performed, I basically saw a polished edge versus a toothy edge. If you sharpened the Santoku to
Mhm.
8K on both sides, the
Mhm.
results would have been the same.
Santoku with the 8K on the
Mhm.
8,000?
Yeah.
So-
So the Santoku did go to 8K,
Yeah.
right?
So the
Yeah.
if I sharpen the this to the 8K on both sides, it will do the very similar to the Santoku. This I wish it was a little bit hard to explain really the benefit of, because yes, that's definitely right, because the if I had to finish this with 1,000 grit, right, or the
Yeah.
2,000 grit, it may be the same, like similar,
Mhm.
right? Really, the big difference is that when you feel them on that, you have the similar two feelings of the smooth and the toothy. I think that's really the benefit of this two-sided sharpening. What I'm seeing, or it's something that it needs maybe like really good microscope, and I have decent microscope, but I never really showed that clearly. But what I'm guessing is that once you sharpen the one side with like 1,000, it's like this, right?
Mhm.
And as you sharpen up a little bit more finer, each teeth becomes smaller and gets tighter. What I'm seeing on that differential sharpening is that I'm seeing one side is toothy, and it remains toothy like this, but it cuts smaller teeth into each knife edge, if that makes sense. So it's still the peaks and valleys, but as you do the differential sharpening, you make the peaks and valleys like this, but you're working on each, you're making smaller peaks on each things.
So more saw and less chainsaw?
Yeah,
Got it.
but it's hard to explain. Hard to explain. Hard to explain.
Looking for props that would help.
But it's like a really like you imagine a mountain range, right? You have the mountain range like this, but something happens, and one pinnacle, it breaks into the smaller. So it's like this.
Yeah.
Super like this.
Like shark teeth, right? Because they've got the little small serrations on them too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's I think that's what's happening.
Got it. All right. And then we had Trevor's asking about some stones here.
Mhm.
He's been sharpening on King and kind of wants to step up, and was asking for what's good for high carbon. We were kind of talking about Choseras in the comments. And
Choseras are great. This Knifewear 4,000, pretty solid stone.
Totally.
Only downside is that it's a little bit finicky. Never soak them in the water. Just splash and go. Because it's the how it's made. If you soak it in water, it absorbs the water, and when it dries out, it shrinks really quick. Then it can create a little bit like I don't know if you ever seen the dry rice field. You start to see the crack.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So something can happen. Mine doesn't, because I don't soak them. But if you do,
Because you're good to your stones, you don't chip them on the edges.
I don't chip
ever.
them.
No.
I dropped them once or twice, but but something like that. That stone is actually like one of our favorite stones. Not because that we have them our name on, but no, it's our favorite. That's why we have our name on here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
All right, and then moving a little bit further from differential sharpening, Elucidate asks, they bought a VG10 Gyuto from us, and they keep hearing that R2 and SG2 can outperform it. They were wondering how big the difference is, because they're just a home cook, and want to know if it's kind of worth the premium.
To be quite honest, the say for example the VG10 stainless, it really depends on who makes it too. So here's my like really truth. The kitchen knives that say one of my favorite knife maker, Takamura-san. He uses four different types of steels, right? The Chromax, or they call it VS1, VG10, and R2. The way that he forges and sharpens, he makes his VG10 knives like outperforms most R2 knives maybe around in terms of how it cuts and how long it can hold. Because how he sharpens, how he grinds the bevel, it is so good. It just sinks into the food. Like if you compare, so like his VG10 knives will outperforms 90% of the R2 knives around, like to be quite honest.
Mm-hmm.
If you compare his knives from VG10 to R2 probably performs slightly better when it comes to the edge retention, but that's it. And does it hold the edge as twice as long? Not really. If you look at a time frame of, say, like we usually say, those knives won't need like real sharpening on stones for about 12 months. His R2 probably adds another 2 to 3 months to the 12 months. So yeah, it's like a little bit, but it's not like outperforms by a lot.
So by and large, it's a lot more about the blacksmith than it is about the steel. So in that case, go VG10.
Yeah,
but,
there are a lot of the techniques these days that's allowing knife makers and blacksmiths to forge the VG10 stainless steel better in terms of the hardness. So the next batch of Ryusen VG10 stainless steel, they've actually revised the hardness. It was 60 Rockwell hardness, and I got the price list the other day, and all the specs, they've actually changed it into 62.
Seriously?
Yep.
Wow, go VG10.
So
okay.
There's the new steel called VG10W. Because it's a nerdy hour, I'm just gonna throw those ideas.
for the nerds out there.
VG10W.
We have a Fujiwara question. Are you down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it here. Is it true that Fujiwara Homono is no longer forge welding in-house the Mabaroshi and Denka lines? And what he means is that they buy Sanmai billets and go from there. And he was asking what your observations from your trip to Fujiwara Homono were.
It's really hard to tell. Like it's really hard to tell. He tells me that he forge welds those two. So
he says so?
Yep.
All right.
It's not that we actually saw them, but the only thing that we know that about Fujiwara Homono right now though is their apprentices or so called, like the master smith, not only Fujiwara-san but the other people. It was not just like only one person game, right?
Yeah, like dude's 70. He's got help.
And he had a help. It's those helpers are getting older as well, so hopefully if they find someone that can turn the game around again.
Cool. Okay, and then our buddy Grant missed the very start of it, and he was wondering about the direction of sharpening again. You're talking about these.
Yeah, I was talking about these. So so Grant, like when I'm sharpening, I go. So I try to make the edge this way and this way. One side, this, so that when you cut it into it, it almost like it stabs into the it's like group of needles, right? Right? The needle direction is this way, so it stabs in really nice. But when you sharpen on the both sides like that way, needle direction is both this way. So it's great to do the back like this slide cutting, sometimes not so much as push cutting. Very minor difference, very minor. You may not be able to tell, but you may. So what I do is that what I started doing, sharpen one side this way so that the grain goes this. So it's great for the full cut. Then when I'm sharpening the back side, I sharpen this way. So the grain goes like this. So it's good for both cuts. I mean, it's good. It's not going to make that million times better, to be quite honest. But it does definitely have, and I wondered always. I've been actually wondering about this because I sharpen my knives, and I have this Fujiwara knife, and I probably sharpen at this nerdy hour as well as the other videos, and when I finish it, it's great. It cuts super, super nice. And often it stopped working on push cut first. But it still does really great on pull cut. So what I'm going to do and what I'm going to test is that I bring the Fujiwara back again and sharpen the way that the Masashi-san told me and go from there and see how it actually holds. Right? Any other questions?
All right. A fellow named Hudson is asking if we've heard of the new carbon steel Apex Ultra. It's supposed to heat treat to like 68 Rockwell hardness.
Not really. The it sounds a little bit more like
an American one.
American carbon steel.
Cool.
Tell you though, it really depends. Aogami Super actually gets to the hardness of 67.
Yeah.
When it's just quenched.
And there's also like
they temper it after so that it kind of drops it down to 65.
Yeah, to keep a little bit of that strength in there.
Yeah, exactly. So it really Rockwell hardness is this, and we've used it and we've been guilty, but it's this one of the many factors that can go into the knife. So if you want a hard steel, go for say something like ZAP or HAP 72. That is the HAP 72. It's a little bit harder than HAP 40. That can go all the way up to Rockwell hardness C scale of 70. And the only maker that I know that uses that steel is the Kia. There's a reason though why there's only one knife maker uses that steel. It's just hard to sharpen.
It sounds like kind of a pain, to be honest. It's
So,
like, yeah, it'll stay sharp for a long time.
There is a reason, always reason why one steel is more popular than others.
All right. Got a couple more. So somebody was asking how the blacksmith from Shizu Humono would compare to somebody like Takamura-san.
Shizu is good. The Shizu Hamono, which I'm actually hoping to see them in like soon. I'm hoping to. Shizu is this company in Seki. Seki produces the most number and quantity of kitchen knives in Japan. More than half of kitchen knives produced in Japan are from Seki. But because of that, Seki is the whole bunch of companies who is specialized in one thing. One thing. By mean, there's the steel company, there's heat treatment company, there's the company that just punches the knife into the shape, there's the company who just press that little dimples on the knife, there's the company who specializes in sharpening. So it's like whole different companies And Shizu is one of the bigger companies, but they are probably more into the finishing. Takamura-san's knives are fantastic because he does lots of in-house stuff. Forging, he does actually even forge knives. Forging, sharpening, putting the handles on. It's in kind of one place. Ensures the quality, although it depends on how you look at it. It's like one's a Ford style, right? The Henry Ford. It's like
Yeah.
one specialized person's doing all the thing.
Many large parts of a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. Shizu though, like the ones that I have seen, out of all the knives that coming out of the Seki, their knives are one of the higher end when it comes to the look, sharpness, and thinness, and the overall fit and finish. Like, look at how, I don't know if you ever got the Shizu Gen knives. They are packaged so nicely. It's so even like pain for us to actually open it up, like untwine.
It's an unboxing process.
Yeah.
Very fun during garage sales.
So it's like there's a plastic sheathing, and
Yeah.
that's like, so it's really, really nicely made. Pure performance in terms of the thinness, Takamura-san's probably better in like how it cuts.
Okay. Here's a really, really good question. Which blacksmiths are approaching the end of their careers, in your opinion, and whose knives would be worth buying for home collections?
I'm not quite sure if there's any, say, for example, like a lot of blacksmiths in the Takefu, the older, like original 7. The youngest is the Kamo Shiro-san. He's still young, so he still does quite a bit of years to come. But say, for example, Saji is a little bit like quite a bit old. He is he's called the chairman of his company. The president of the company is Nomura-san, actually. So but not quite sure if there will be any collectible type of blade coming off from the Saji-san, except the super high-end models with the like one of those lacquered handles and lacquered saya type of stuff. Those guys don't usually whatchamacallit, they don't stock, they don't have any stocks in their workshops or the stores, right? If you ever want to say, premium type of stuff, look for Sakai, because what happens in Sakai is that the blacksmiths make the blades. They send to this wholesaler. Then wholesaler takes those blanks to the other sharpeners to sharpen. So I know the fact there are quite a bit of knives that's actually being forged by the blacksmith who's already been retired or actually been passed away.
Interesting.
So if you're looking for some like premium, that kind of stuff, that's probably what you want to look for, other than the Takefu and those places. Because I know the Anri-san's been, he's like almost retired, but he hadn't, I guess, the forged knives for the last, like 5-6 years now, right? He's still involved, like, cutting steels or some that the different levels, but
just not doing the heavier duty stuff quite as much.
No.
Yeah.
And often those knives get actually mixed up with the knives that's being forged by the Ikeda-san as well, right? So there is no like markings and anything. Because I've seen Hiroshi Kato-san when I went to see Takefu Knife Village last time. Kato-san, like Hiroshi, like the senior, just came in very casually, went into his forge and forged few knives and stacked them in like.
So sometimes they just come hang out, forge a couple knives.
Yeah,
you might have gotten a knife.
Yeah,
by
exactly.
an absolute master.
Like,
we don't know.
It was like, oh, okay. Oh, here.
Oh, hey, buddy. Good to see you again.
So I don't know if he does that anymore, but certainly when I was back there 2000, I think 18, 19, it was like he just casually come in while the Yoshimi-san is not doing that forging work. So that's really hard. Having that that stamp for can't really tell, right? So like look for somewhere like Sakai, although most of Sakai Smith are still. One of the Yoshikazu Ikeda-san may be really really old. So Yoshikazu Ikeda knife, we sometimes get a honyaki from him, but his knives could become a little bit more like that kind of collector piece as his brothers Masayuki Ikeda-san's knives are. Now it's like the premium knives.
All right. That was a really comprehensive answer. Thank you.
Oh, no.
Fun. Okay. Let's see. Owl Woodworks was wondering if the local stores are ever going to offer advanced sharpening and polishing classes, like thinning and single bevel kasumi kind of stuff.
Stores?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know we've done it in the past.
We have done it in the past.
Yeah, like if there's enough interest, sometimes we sign people up for. We've got like in the Calgary shop at least. There's part of the back in stock call list that's just like, hey, this person wants an advanced class, and if there's enough interest, like we're happy to put something together for you.
Yeah.
Right.
We have done it before, so.
Okay. How do you rank Minoru Hakui as a sharpener?
Oh, he's in the kind of the legend status, right? He's retired. If I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken the name, he is the one of the Koho knives from so that the blade's been forged by the Genkai-san in the Kyushu area, and Koho is pass it down to Hakui-san and sharpen. I heard a good thing, like a lot of good thing about it, and only the real Koho knives are done by the Masakuni Genkai and the Hakui-san. When it comes to that level of sharpeners, it's really hard to say who will be the best. Really, those guys are really there, right? I've been spoken to lots of people, sharpeners and the wholesalers in that area, and asking, hey, what do you like? Some people say he's the best. It's like how you define the best is very really hard. I haven't seen the knives that's sharpened, forged by the Genkai-san and sharpened by him myself. So I can't really speak of that particular sharpener. He is famous. He is a legend. He passed away, either retired or passed away already. So you can't really get his knives sharpened by him anymore, unless the ones that she kicking around. It's really hard to say because everyone has different opinion about sharpening, and there's always someone not 100% happy with what what those masters do, master's job as well. So
okay. Trevor asks, why do knife makers retire? It seems like the kind of skill you could maintain well into old age. Is it just wear on the body over time?
Yeah, they work really till very old.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't retire at age of 60 or 65. They retire at age of 85 or 90.
And I don't know how they do it, because I was just in my first forging area recently. Mm-hmm. It is heat and noise and smoke and dust. It's in your lungs, it's on your hands. That is a hard life to live.
And so it's they don't retire at not regular retirement. They do work until very very old. Someone like Honjo-san, the Honjoji-san, he basically worked until he couple years before he passed.
Wow.
So there are a lot of blacksmiths like that too. So
just insane work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good one. Who do you think is the next Kato Shigefusa Hinura, in your opinion? Who do you see today that you think is going to be incredible in the future?
So the big names like Kiyoshi Kato. Kiyoshi Kato-san's a little bit different character. He's been a swordsmith. He did start making the custom knives, like hunting knives and stuff, and he started making kitchen knives. When it comes to kitchen knives, though, Shigefusa is probably one of the top, and it will continue to be one of probably the top, as the Masayuki-san, the second son of the Shigefusa, is still super young, and he is the driving force of that workshop right now. So hopefully Masayuki-san can start his own production, as the I've seen actually his knives engraved with Masayuki before too. So hopefully that can come. I think this Masayuki, as the second son, he actually does a lot of forging these days. Lots of young guys. I would hope the Manaka-san will get into that kind of, because how he likes the challenge of using different type of steels and forge building techniques and all the such. Hopefully he comes up on quite nice areas. Masashi definitely will be a crazy. Every time I use his, we'll have this video shooting on Thursday, and ask me to bring my, I guess, knife collection.
Yep.
I got his Tsujihiki, Kuroshu Tsujihiki. It's crazy how like thin that edge is with very skinny blade. It's absolutely mind-blowing. So his knives are not famous. I mean, like we know him, but not like, say, knife nerd famous. if that because like, Shigefusa, those Kiyoshi Kato, those people were like knife nerd famous. But it's the his knives are gonna, like, I don't know how his knives will be like after like 20-30 years. And
yeah, I was kind of surprised to learn that Masashi wasn't like as well known outside of us.
No.
But he is insanely talented. He will definitely deserve a spot in the Legends Halls.
I think so.
All right. Whoop, drop my phone. All right. Anybody else got any good questions for us? And if not, then we can kind of start wrapping up.
I think so. That's the like, I think times are good.
Times are great.
So for this video, thanks for watching. We did a little perform the differential sharpening, the one side on the finer grit than the other. Results are pretty incredible, although it may leave the very similar results on, say, sharpen on 1,000 stone versus 8,000 stone on both ends. Really, the big difference is that as I kind of mentioned earlier, the differential kind of grit sharpening will make it like it's like a shark teeth edge, right? The bigger valleys, and each peaks has the smaller peaks right into it, and so that it grabs really nice. And also because of that, because of the type of geometry, kind of helps to retain the edge really nice and long as well. So it really depends on what you like to do on your knife, but it is one of many answers, one of the many answers to this ultimate, I guess, multifunctional edge, if that makes sense. It's this type of sharpening, and it's pretty easy to attain, right? You do the sharpening with the medium grit stone and going up to the one side finer than another. So we have lots of videos coming up pretty soon. I really enjoyed the oyster shacking video that Mike did.
That was a good one.
Yeah, it was really good. It seems like everyone enjoyed the oyster, and I think you guys noticed that I wasn't in there. I was off day. That was
The
show
one
when I
day
was
you were
off.
gone.
I'm like, how? What? Everyone's shocked. Everyone eating oysters at. But
I know, so unfair.
I know,
Next time though.
I know. Next time. So,
All right. Well,
anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. And next Nerdy Hour probably is next month. Hopefully that happens.
mhm.
I may be working on something
Something
that-
special.
something special maybe,
Mm.
so that we can announce it sometime.
Fantastic.
Anyways, well, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and stay tuned for next month. Happy Tuesday.